And what you could do then is you could add all that up. You could choose a spot in memory to just put all that, and then you could just connect it all together, knowing that any connections you make will not ever have to be destroyed unless you start a new game. And so then to upgrade something, as I said before, you have to be able to get there. So these ones here I can put yellow tiles in. I mean, I could, any of these, they're valid. The tiles, there's still some left, so I can play them. Whatever I want to do, it doesn't even need to make sense to other people. I mean, I may just be trying to waste track so that, you know, that track runs out and nobody else can use it. I mean, I can upgrade from a yellow to a green. Again, there are a whole bunch of different upgrades. I think I showed this one. I could try to upgrade this town here and do something like that. I mean, there are a whole bunch of different things I could do. I mean, I could even pay to upgrade that. And so let's see. I think, what was it I wanted to do? I'll just upgrade this here. That isn't going to improve my run this turn since I've got a 4 train, which is going to be fussing around over there. But I want to upgrade that before somebody else does. And so what I have done is, if we assume that there's a mapping where we have internal vertices and then grid vertices, this already had these 3 connections going off there, and I added an edge from this, you know, I guess that is Baltimore. I think it's Boston, well, whatever. From this city off to this, you know, southwestern edge. And that's all I did. I just changed that edge. And actually, the other thing it did is it changed the value of the city. And then the other part of the network are the stations. And as I explained, any train has to include a station in the run. So right now, I have a 4 train. Because I upgraded that, actually, that changed my most valuable run. And this 4 train is going from here to here to here to here. So it's running across all these. And since I have a station at both terminals, I have a station at both ends, I don't need to do that. In theory, if I had no station here and no station here, and I had a station in either of these places, I could still make the run. So stations allow you to run a train in that general area. The other thing that happens is, again, if there are no empty stations in a particular city, then you cannot run through that location. See, this one here has one of my stations and one of B&O's stations. So these 2 companies, they can run up to this location, they cannot run through it. That's why they've started branching off this way, because they want to go around that location because they can't go through it. They want to get up here to New York. And so presumably one of them next turn is going to lay like that, which will allow them to get in there. And then because they can get in there, then they can lay a station in there. They could put a station there, which wouldn't affect me. They could put a station in either one of these places, which would cut my run off. I could then no longer go through that area. Once you put stations down, you can't remove them. And so the stations are sort of like ownership of that internal vertex that prevents somebody from traveling through it, but they can trace up to it. And so I think right now, because I want to get down to this 7, which is a pretty, that's a happy place. I like happy places. And so I am going to put a station there. That means I'm out of stations. This company can't put any stations down anymore, and as far as strategy and whatnot goes, that has a whole bunch of implications that I'm not going to get into. But I've set the board up at this point, and now none of those stations get moved until I start a new game. None of this track gets moved until I start a new game. I mean, I can collect money here. And then the other companies are going to go, and they're going to have to live with what I did over there. They can't change it. You'll get into some race conditions where people want to put their track down before the other person. And so this is how the track evolves. It starts off, well, it usually starts off from nothing. I guess that's another thing I should explain. There are some locations, like this gray location here, that cannot be upgraded. It can never ever be upgraded. It starts off, there's track that's pre-existing on the board, and that track can never be changed. And so there are some places which don't change. Then there are these off-board locations. Again, the edges and vertices as they were never change. However, the values of these off-board locations may change as new trains come out, which of course will affect your optimum run. It's not going to affect the connections, the internal connections in the network, though. So you've got edges. Well, you've got a whole bunch of vertices. Your set of vertices, if you use the mapping I've described, is set when you start the game, and then you've got a whole bunch of edges that you can choose to connect to those, and you've got some pre-connected edges as well. And then once something goes down, it never comes back up. And that pretty much sums this up. I don't think I have anything else to add. So again, thanks for listening, and next time I'll actually talk about how the runs are calculated, what's valid, what's invalid. Oh, actually, there's one thing I did forget to add here. When you're upgrading track, depending on the game, there are two different variations on upgrades. In some of the games, you can upgrade the track if you can get to the tile. In other games, you can only upgrade the track if you can reach the new track. So right here, with this tile right here, this yellow one, since I have a station here, there's no connection from here to here, which means that I can't actually get into this part of the track. And so for me to actually upgrade this track, I would have to make sure that it connected, that I could connect to it. So I could do an upgrade that connected this new, the connection I made last turn right there, it's a new connection. I could actually use that connection to branch into this track if we were playing using those rules. And that's something that people argue over, but it's one of those things that depends on the game. I think that finally does cover all there is to, well, at least all the basics of the valid evolution of the track. And so thanks again, and I'll continue talking about how to calculate runs next time.